And shortly after the war started, nearly 8 weeks ago, we talked to Marina Pesenti, the former director of the Ukrainian Institute in London, whose family was in the now infamous, although we'd never heard of it at that point, the town of Irpin. Among them was Sonya Kornuykh, Marina's 16-year-old niece. We've been talking to both Marina and Sonya regularly since that first meeting, as they've kindly shared their struggle for safety and protection for their whole family. After weeks of uncertainty, we're very privileged and delighted to welcome them both into the studio today. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Sonya, let's start with you. I won't forget speaking to you whenever it was a month ago when you just made that walk out of your home to try and get to safety. How are you doing now? How are things?
I'm all right. I love London so much, so I'm much better now. But I think about my family all the time, about my peaceful life in Irpin, about my home. So it makes me so sad. So I need to be distracted all the time.
Yeah. And how's it been being welcomed into London? How's life been in the last couple of weeks?
Life, my life in London is great. Everything's okay, but I'm adjusting.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, you can tell you look very comfortable. But when you think about, are your family okay? What do you know about what's happening to your family back in
Yes,
Ukraine?
they are okay. Part of my family are in France right now, and my mom is in Lviv, and my dad is in Ukraine too, but they are safe, luckily. So.
And do you get to speak to them much?
I'm sorry?
Do you get to speak to your mum and dad much?
Yes, yes. I speak to them every day, and so keep in touch.
And how are you coping, Sonya? Because 2 or 3 months ago, or 3 or 4 months ago, you were a 16-year-old girl in Irpin, and you had your school ahead of you, and you probably knew what you were going to do for the next few years. You're now in London. What are your plans here?
I'm not able to plan something because I don't know what is going to be in 1 month or in 1 week. So I just living my life and hoping that very soon I will return home. But I have no plans. I will be attending a school here.
When does that start?
I think in 9 days.
Really? Are you excited or are you nervous, or how do you feel about it?
I'm excited and I'm nervous. I think it's gonna be like an adventure or something. But I'm afraid that children in that school will be bullying me.
Well, I'm sure they won't, and they better not. If they do, Sonya, you can come on this station and we'll go after them for you.
Okay, thank you.
Marina, I must ask you, how was the whole process of getting Sonya over here? Was it straightforward or not?
I think she and her grandmother, they were lucky because they got their visas quite quickly. But some other members of my family, as Sonya mentioned, some of them are stuck in France with our relatives, and it's been over a month that they've been waiting. So I'm trying to organize, bits and pieces. There are lots of things to sort out. And there are good news and bad news. So as I mentioned, visas probably not great news. But the good news is that we managed to get a full bursary from a private school for Sonya to study at Eltham College in Southeast London. And we are immensely grateful for this generosity shown to Ukrainian children. But yes, it's a bit overwhelming. I mean, in my case, I will have to host 7 members of my family, so we will have to think of accommodation for them and get some financial help, like universal credit and things like that. So we are bit by bit, trying to
7 members in your house.
I will not be able to host all of them in my house, so that's why we will need a separate accommodation, definitely. Yeah. So.
And how are you finding it all? Because, obviously, Sonya went through it and you must have felt so powerless. Well, we know that you did because you were in his studio. And, it must just be awful hearing all the stuff that's going on and hoping that your family are going to get out in one piece, that they're going to get here. Have you had time to kind of process how you feel about it all?
I mean, obviously, I'm very happy that they are alive, and the bit of the family which is staying behind in Ukraine, they are safe. Even the house that we left behind in Irpin apparently was not, bombed or ransacked. So, which is really lucky. But I mean, mentally, it's quite difficult because we're constantly on the news and checking what's happening
Yes.
in Ukraine, and it's impossible to separate yourself. We are just trying to be positive and enjoy our life from time to time, but these thoughts are really like hanging on our mind all the time.
Absolutely. Marina, I wanted to ask you, when you turn on the news and the top story is not always Ukraine, it's about the Prime Minister eating cake. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's okay to focus on both of them, or would you wish that we focused on one rather than the other?
I'm a grown-up. I understand that this politics are complicated. I'm still immensely grateful to the government and personally to Boris Johnson for his bravery and dedication to Ukraine. Yes, it's unfortunate that these things are happening. But still, I mean, Ukraine remains in the news, and that's what matters, for us as Ukrainians. And yes. Thank you for keeping it that way.
Well, it's a great pleasure to speak to you. And Sonya, just finally, what do you miss the most when you think back about your home? What's the thing that's on your mind when you think back?
I'm about to cry. I'm sorry. Well, I'm always thinking about my bedroom. I really miss this, and I remember like walking in Irpin with my friends, and and just living with my family. I miss everything, my school, and
Well,
I'm sorry.
Don't apologise. And listen, we're so pleased to have you here, and I'm glad you got a school. No one will bully you at your school, I promise you that. And we'll stay in touch with you, and we'll keep an eye and make sure everything's okay. But it's a great pleasure to speak to you, Marina, and to you, Sonya. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.